Welcome to the Upshot, Multi World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, the editor. Joining me, Josh Mansfield, and it's Wednesday, October 12th. Why is the podcast coming out on Wednesday? What's going on right now? Well, Josh, the Pro Tour Championship starts today. I didn't even know this coming into the week. They're like, you know what? Let's get it even closer to USDGC. I mean, let's really just yam it up onto it. So the play-in tournament for the Pro Tour Championship begins today. And so we're just trying to get the podcast up a little earlier so you can think about your bracket and get ready to go for this weekend. So big money, Josh, $302,000 on the line. Are you excited for the final event of the 2022 season?
Okay, even their website says a little over 300,000. Like they don't even put 302,000 on their website. I am so mad about this. It would have been so easy just to. The problem is I think when you look at the numbers, fixing it down to 300,000 is harder than you lose out on some of the clean numbers that you have. So
I think that's how it ended up, right?
Right.
Like they
probably
we want to do a $300,000 purse, and then they did the math, and I was like, well, we got to add a little bit here and there.
Still dumb. Anyways, yes, I am excited. I think it's going to be a fun event. I know nothing about the Nevin course. I've never seen it. I have seen very little online talk about it. So I'll be interested to see how it plays. Side note, we are recording before the play-in tournament has teed off. So you may be listening to this after the play-in tournament is over.
Or
we
has
have
at
not
least
yet
started,
correct.
What time is the tee times for the women today?
First tee time is at 9:05 Eastern.
Okay. Well,
and then
this will not be up by then.
Yes. But I think it's a good format. I think it's an exciting format to watch. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but it's still too close to USDGC. We've talked about this before. It's hard to we're even going to spend some of this show talking about USDGC when the Pro Tour Championship, it really should deserve the air of a full show, full attention. But we literally could not get in 2 episodes in the week before, even if we wanted to do one all just for the Pro Tour Championship. Yeah,
I'm thinking to myself, what's the solution? I think that obviously they could add a week, but then players have to kind of just sit around for a week. Mm-hmm. And, do they want that right at the end of the season, or do they just want to play?
Here's my counterpoint to that, though. It's easier to sit around for a week when you have a $2,500 appearance fee.
Fair point.
You're getting paid $2,500. Okay, so not for the play-in, but
yeah, think about maybe the play-in. I don't think you get anything if you just
you're not guaranteed play-in.
So you go here, you play, you don't make it, and it's just see you later. You just missed out on a chance at many thousands of dollars.
Here you go. Ready for this? You have the play-in tournament the weekend after USDGC. And you do one day tournament. It's your play-in tournament. It's on the Saturday or Sunday after USDGC. Then your Pro Tour Championship is the weekend after.
Starts Thursday.
That way, yes. If you're not guaranteed money, you only have to wait a week. You get in a couple practice days though. And if you're guaranteed money, then you wait a week, but you get the $2,500 or $3,000 appearance fee for MPO and FPO. So I don't feel too bad for you waiting around for a week.
Yeah, and you could probably figure out a way to do some kind of exhibition type event,
sure,
celebrity pro-am, whatever.
Right.
In that same weekend. So there's something going on. Because you have all the pros there in Charlotte. It's still it's still awkward. I feel like it's deja vu because I talk about this every single year where it's we have USDGC. We go 30 minutes away, and we have the Pro Tour Championship. And, if I'm local to the Charlotte area, and I'm I want to watch one of these tournaments. Unless I'm a super fan, which arguably, yes. If I was living in the area, I might go to both. You're going to choose USDGC, right?
Yes.
At least for me, I find that because it's a major, it's just more appealing as an event to attend. Now, maybe that's because I've been going for years. I've actually never been to the Pro Tour Championship in person. Never been to it. And it's not because I don't think it's like an important event. It just, the proximity to the second most, or in some cases for some players, the most prestigious event of the season is happening right before this obviously huge payout, but still just doesn't feel like it has the same weight to me. Like, it's cool. Somebody's going to win a bunch of money, 35 G's, you know, wow, awesome. It's got this interesting different format, but it simply doesn't have the weight of any of the majors. And maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine. Maybe that's just how it is. But like, again, just like the proximity of the tournaments to one another, I feel like it's just going to depress turnout for what is supposed to be this, you know, crowning event on the calendar for the Pro Tour.
Here's a second question for you, Charlie. If you are a super fan or just a casual fan and you want to go watch certain players, list to me the top 5 most common picks that fans want to go see play.
In not exactly a particular order, but maybe slightly particular order. You got Macbeth.
Okay.
Simon.
Yep.
Calvin.
Yep.
Kristen Ricky.
Okay. Congratulations. None of them play until Saturday.
I knew where you were going with this.
Right? Your crowning event, this one that like, you know, you're competing with a major for, your top spectator appeal aren't even going to be on the course until Saturday. So maybe we
must talk about that, but I want to put it on the table for a second because I want to finish up some USDGC chatter, but we're going to come back to that point because I think it's very important. So let's talk a little bit more about USDGC. Josh, for you, watching from home, you've seen this tournament before. We had some fairly significant course changes this year. They completely revamped hole 3. You know, they redeveloped the hole 4 tunnel shot. They moved the basket on 5. We saw some changes in the back. You know, 13 is totally different now. So it certainly retains its character, but it had a bunch of changes. What did you think about the way the course was playing and the changes that they made this season?
As a holistic change, I like the changes. So let me highlight the ones that I think were most notable and stand out most in my head. First, hole 3, I think it played perfectly for the FPO. I think the solution to the MPO is just sliding the hole or the basket up just a little bit so that you have the option of playing just to the mouth of the final 2 trees or out in the field and having a fine edge of circle to circle 2 putt, but that the danger isn't directly behind the basket. But you can still play aggressive to get around the corner of the mouth on where the basket is kind of tucked in order to get a closer look. I think you make that change and you get some of your better putters who also can match some of the far throwers in getting birdies on that hole. Only change I'd recommend, though, I really liked the change to hole 3. I loved the change to hole 5 of moving the basket closer to the water. I think it drastically improved that hole, and I really enjoyed that one. And then the third change that really sticks out to me, is it 13?
The old 888?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Didn't love it. I thought it was fine. The OB played weird for me, and I had a hard time following. First off, the blind shot over the little mound, dumb.
That was the one thing that made no sense to me.
Yeah,
like, let's put the tee pad in this horribly claustrophobic position, do almost no maintenance, and just be like, you got to throw it blind. Why?
Right?
I don't think that improves the shot. I feel like, unfortunately, if they played from the FPO tee pad up on top of the hill, which is a much more natural place to have the tee pad, I don't think it's too much of a tweener hole because I don't think the men could reach the green, but it would be way too easy as a par 4. So I don't really know. I think they need to rethink the tee location, though.
Yeah, I mean, their solution, it was just you have to throw over this mound, which is going to cut off your natural distance from your tee shot, which is going to make it an appropriate par 4, which I don't know. The OB was weird too. Like, there were times I was certain the disc was OB and it wasn't OB. and then there were times when it was OB, but like they were allowed to throw from the path. So I don't know what the
path
OB
is
line
in
was.
Bounds. The OB line is
so
on the
weird.
other side of the path, which I don't really know why they did it that way. But it's been that way for many years. It's been that way for many years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very strange.
I guess it's not as relevant in the other iteration though, because if you're throwing like perpendicular to the path, if your disc hits it, you're just going to slide out of bounds, right? So when you're going for the aggressive shot, and I don't know, it came into play more this year to the point that I noticed it. There were a lot of things I didn't like about that hole. I didn't
mind the green personally. I thought that
I liked the green. Agreed with that.
It was all right.
Yeah, I thought the green was fine, but I think the way that we get to that green just needs to be very different.
I'm with you on that.
Final change that was a course change that I noticed on the regular. Actually, one other thing I'll add. I think it was on holes like 11 and 12. They put the hazards or the OB just like right smack in the middle of the zone.
The little circle patch of danger.
Uh-huh. I really enjoyed that, actually. I thought we saw, especially on the FPO side, Kristen Tatar was laying up on those and going short, and Katrina Allen was out driving them and going for the distance. And that shows that I think it was in an appropriate spot, that it created that risk reward decision off the tee. And I appreciated that a lot, actually. I know it's gimmicky. I know there are some players who probably hated it, but I thought it was interesting at least to watch. The final change that I will add and want to just sing praises to, and I hope every tournament does it forever now, was the long grass and the rocks for OB.
Massive.
Visually, it was perfect. Perfect. And what I liked even more about it is that I think that it appropriately plays as a more difficult surface for the players and the disc than the fairway did. And that's how it should be, right? When you were throwing from the longer grass or had the rocks near you, that was something you had to take into consideration. If your disc was swinging in and it would hit the rough first, the skip potential decreased because it was in longer grass, and the rock blocked several shots in order to prevent it from getting back in bounds. And so both of those, I think, play exactly the way that the rough should. That if your disc is hitting rough, it should have a harder time doing the actions that you hoped that it did, not just a line in the ground that it skips over and isn't any big deal. I really, really liked that course change, and I think that they deserve a lot of praise for it.
100%. You think about the way, and like, yes, there were people like, oh, I can't believe they put a rock there. Like, I hit the rock. Rah, 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 rah. Okay, don't throw it in the out of bounds. Like, they're not putting rocks randomly in the fairway. I feel like it was just the value of the visual, and it was great on the ground too. The value of the visual massively outweighs any, cost of randomness caused by the rocks. And like, I saw, I watched, however many holes, 72 holes of disc golf in FPO, and I watched almost all of the coverage of MPO as well. And the rocks came into play like 3 or 4 times total. Not a significant number that really, no more than the OB stakes or the other weirdness that happens whenever you're
umbrellas.
OB. I mean, it was really just umbrellas. It was really just excellent because it just gives you the visual clarity of being like, okay, now I can see where they're supposed to be throwing, where they're not. In the past at USDGC, it was just like an open field, and you're like, I don't know. On TV, it was impossible to tell what was good and what was not. So, and I mean, even as a broadcaster, it was just like you didn't have to have somebody give you the flag a lot of the time because it was just clear that they were in or they were out. Mm-hmm. So that was just huge. And I think, they can continue to try to refine that. But certainly, this is the tall grass component, particularly, even more than the rocks, was just crucial for recognizing the rough, because they're essentially creating the look of natural OB. As opposed, at Fox Run, we have natural OB because there's grass growing over there. Mm-hmm. Here, we're going to let the grass grow long, and shout out to Winthrop University for being willing to let the grass grow and then mow it in these patches. And that's a lot of course maintenance work that happened to make that a reality. That's not something you just go do one day. Like that's a lot of work with the lawn mowers to make sure that that's happening. The other thing I'll say that you didn't mention, just love the basket change on hole 5. I feel like it's just so classic.
I did mention that.
You did mention that?
Yeah, I was very brief, but
I was just spacing out then. Good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just love that. I thought it improved the hole quite a bit, and players are going to start to learn how to be more aggressive in that layout. But we saw some awesome shots, and Owen Scoggins off the water. Did you see that? That was amazing.
I missed that one.
She like totally shanked a shot, and it skipped. you know, obviously overstable flex shot forehand, and it just takes a perfect skip and somehow gets up and climbs up the like 6 to 12 inches of land.
It's not
there, and was parked, and she tapped in for birdie. It was awesome.
That's incredible.
You know, a day after she took was it a 10 or a 9? Some monster number. I think it was a 9. The day previous. So that was very cool. Hole 4. Here's my one complaint about Winthrop. By and large, I like these changes. My complaint is that there are very few holes, maybe just hole 3 and to a lesser extent hole 5, where there's a real benefit to throwing it as hard as you can and throwing it as far as you can. You don't really see players trying to go for it very often. Like, you know, is it 11? The one with all the swirly OB hazard?
There's 2 of those. I think it's 11 and 12. But
I find these holes very forgettable, and I hope they continue to work on trying to make them better. There's like the landing zone short for the women, you know, just after the first hump of hazard. And they just all dump hyzers into that spot because there was no real benefit to trying to push further down the fairway besides having a closer approach shot, but that was not enough of a benefit. So you have these long holes that are super far, and like you just never really seeing the players being asked to open up their arm and really throw it as far as they can. And, you know, to some extent you get a little bit of a benefit on hole 3 if you can throw it really far. But I just feel like there's a lot of holes that demand a very straight tunnelish shot. 1, 4, Clown's Mouth hole, 7.
Well, 7 is like the first Clown's Mouth.
Yes, that's Clown's Mouth hole. That's Clown's Mouth.
Yeah,
I mean, there's another triple Mando hole in the back, but and to some, I treat that one a little differently because you're being asked to go. Oh, is it?
I thought 15's always referred to as Clown's Mouth.
Well, now I'm not sure. But I'm talking about 7. I'm
anyway,
talking about
7. Okay.
Throw it straight through the thing. There's a lot of throw it straight through the thing. And I feel like we should have one less of those kinds of holes.
That's fair.
But, you know, I guess my point is I want to see a hole where if you're double G, you have a marked advantage where you're that you're not taking off a ton of additional risk in order to throw it as far as you can. Like it was really fun to watch Calvin just absolutely launch one on 18 in the final round, but nobody's actually going for that because the risk reward is not in your favor.
Yeah, he still scored the same as Nicholas, who almost laid up. Right.
And that's the problem that I'm saying. So, like, I would just love to see a hole created where if you could throw it 600 feet, you know, you're going to get a birdie. And if you can throw it 450 feet, you're not going to get a birdie. And I don't think there's too many holes out there like that.
I wonder if you could stretch hole 16. I don't know. I've never been on the property.
Here is my pitch.
Okay.
Move the tee pad on 5 up to give players an opportunity to attack in 2 over the water. Now, I know we have that amazing double G one, but with the basket moved, now the incentive's even lower to try to go for it. So I would like to see them move that up because then if you can really mash it and you can get way up there, then you have an opportunity to go over the water to get to the basket in 2, and you'll be able to try to have an eagle bid. Like there should be more eagle opportunities on that hole. And I think all you have to do is move the tee pad a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's my pitch, because that would truly create an incentive for like big arms to go for it and have it be like an interesting shot. Because I think that a lot of those first couple shots on 5, boring. It's like, okay, they're in the middle of the fairway. They're just going to this landing zone. So, okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Event improvements. I want to talk about this. Now, this is always a well-run tournament, but substantial improvements this year. Big thing that maybe went under the radar. I think we talked about it in our React show. Vending was open to everybody. Discraft was here selling discs. That's never happened before at USDGC. And to me, this is the natural and basically required evolution of this tournament. I understand that US Disc Golf, heavily affiliated with Innova, with the Innova Pro Shop and all that stuff, runs this tournament. But if you're going to run a major event, the PDGA needs to continue to put requirements around this event that they make it big tent. Everybody should be able to be there selling their discs. There should be opportunities for, if there's like a Fly Mart type deal one of the evenings, like players should be able to go there and get press that are not Innova players. Like this was a huge step forward, because not only did that happen, but they massively improved like the vendor village area, and it was just a lot more fun to be there on the ground. They had a big stage with a huge television that was playing the broadcast, and they had it on the speaker, so you could just hang out, drink beers, have a hamburger, and watch the golf, even if you weren't walking the course. And like that is what we need at every big tournament long term. But as usual, USDGC is kind of setting that standard as before other tournaments do, although maybe they stole that one from European Open.
We have an email from Frank that talks a little bit about that. Do you want to jump over and do that email now?
Let's do it. I'm happy to read this one. Frank was there throughout the week, and he did talk about a couple holes where it was difficult to see the players compete. 18 in particular, the green is so protected, it's hard to see. I would not be surprised, and I actually heard some rumors that they're thinking about rearranging the course a little bit so that 18 is no longer the final hole. Because, think about it. Gannon is tapping out. He's in the dark. There's nobody around him. All the people are back away up on the fairway. Don't you want to have him out in the open where like you can see him better? I mean, I think it's even difficult for the cameras to get good shots down into that green on 18. Now, I love the hole, but as a spectator spectacle, it's not that good. Okay.
Hey, quick question for you. So I saw a picture later with the trophies. They're very nice. What was with the t-shirt they handed Gannon?
That seemed to be like, I forget what it was. We're recording our interview with Gannon after this right now, so we'll ask him. Somebody must have made up something. I don't think it was like a tournament thing. Okay.
All right. Okay, we'll go with that. Anyway, go ahead. I heard someone who's like, yeah, you win the Masters, you get the green jacket. You win USDGC, you get a yellow t-shirt. And I was like...
I get my sense just seeing that like happen very briefly was that like that was one of his buddies or like one of his sponsors made that, and that wasn't a tournament thing. Because Katrina didn't get something like that.
Okay. And then they got really nice trophies after. Yeah. So I was like, why not? Anyway, okay, go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
Frank said the village was awesome with the giant screen to watch coverage, food vendors, disc vendors, a big tent with tables and chairs and restrooms. You really felt like you were at an event. The players going right to a table for autographs immediately following their round was also very cool. I was standing there and listening to a group of young boys talk about the players like they were pro football, basketball, or baseball players, all excited about the autographs they had and the ones that they hoped to get. For them, autograph sessions and televised tours is the norm, which is mind-blowing. My best friend, 1994 AmWorlds winner, hasn't been around pro golf for a few years and was just amazed by the size and the scope of this major. He had a blast meeting all the people we knew from back in the day, like Avery, Juliana, Maceman, and Jim Oates. What was cool is Jim hadn't seen my friend in probably 20 years, but Jim was the TD of the 1994 AmWorlds, and as soon as he saw him, he said, "Hi, champ." The most beloved player in disc golf has to be Own. Everyone cheered for her in every putt, and she was great at interacting with the crowd and even apologized when she didn't run a putt, even though the smart play was not to run it. She felt bad disappointing everyone. I happened to be next to her on the walk from 11 to 12 and she started chatting with me. I was so lost in the conversation because it felt like the hundreds of other conversations I've had with my friends on the course that I almost walked into the tee with her. I looked up and realized where I was, and I yelped, apologized to her, and ran to the gallery. The savviest player is Ricky. There were only a few fans waiting for him, again on 11's pin, and this group of 4 people cheered loudly when he made his birdie putt. His caddy came over and gave them all silicone wristbands. The most well-respected player, though, is still Macbeth. The gallery on his chase card on Saturday was 5 times bigger than the lead card from the start, and as Ricky's card struggled, more people left his card to join Macbeth's. We were on hole 16, and when Nicholas missed his putt, you could see it was over. He had lost all confidence in his putt, and Gannon was just brimming with it. The best part for me was sitting at a table in the village, gushing to the other people about finally getting James to sign my commemorative Nomad, and finding out one of those people was James's dad. Then James's mom came over, and she started showing pics of James when he was a baby through his teenage years. On the walk to hole 1, his mom introduced me to James's grandmother and cousin. This will be one of my favorite disc golf memories. I'm so glad I went. It was golf at its best and so smoothly ran, it couldn't be anything but a great experience. I paid $75 for a VIP pass, and it is the best bargain in pro sports. Great email from Frank.
Yeah, I think one thing that surprised me, I didn't realize VIP passes were only $75.
4 days plus parking.
That's an incredible deal.
Solid. Solid. World
Yeah,
was $100 for every other day.
That is a steal of a deal. I love the Own story. I think that one's great. It really does just sound. This is the kind of email that I think highlights kind of the experience, right? It's not just about one event, one thing, one aspect. It's here's the good and the bad, and I really appreciate that, Frank. So thank you for sending in your email. But overall, in that big summary, it seems like the interaction with the pros, the kind of golf that you got to watch, it really was a smooth event, and people feel like they are getting value from that spectator pass. And Winthrop has succeeded at that in the past, and I think they're just doing an excellent job and continuing to do so.
100%. Couple other quick notes on Gannon Burr. Got a couple emails about Gannon. Gannon, over the last 31 holes on the course, so midway through his third round, through his fourth round, was 23 under. After hole 3 in round 3, he had only one hole in which he shot over par strokes, and it was the double bogey in the final round. Other than that, he had 21 birdies and 2 eagles through that stretch. Wow. Incredible. Thanks, Judd, for pointing that out. And I have to take a mulligan. Jeff emailed in, and I've also heard this a bunch from other people, including a pro texted me and told me I was wrong. Gannon Burr is not 6'1" or whatever I said he was. Gannon's like 6'5". So, mulligan.
Small mulligan.
Large mulligan. 6'5" mulligan.
So, someone said, I think it was in that same email, he said that, or maybe someone else was saying that standing next to like Scott Stokely, you can tell he's like 6'5", and then they said Scott Stokely is like 6'7". Is that true? Is he that tall?
He's a big guy, but I don't know, and I don't believe any of these people. Gannon is definitely taller than 6'1".
Okay.
Let's say he's 6'5" or 6'6". We'll ask him when he's on with us. That's all I have for you.
That's all we're going to go there. If someone knows like the actual official height of Scott Stokely, please send us an email or put it in the Discord.
Brody 6'11". It's crazy. It's like the NBA right now.
Oh, man.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Pro Tour Championship talk, preview, and picks. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. Make sure you check out Pound's Custom Pack Builder, where you can customize every aspect of the bag, from the upper fabric the lower fabric, the zippers, the sliders, the cords. You can get an Octothorpe, an Octahall, a Toolbox, or even a Carlton in custom options. And stay tuned, Rufus Customs coming soon. Go to PoundDiscGolf.com to check out the custom pack builder today. Finding that perfect disc can be difficult with so many new brands and molds. Now there is an easier way. TryDiscs.com is a free, easy-to-use website with awesome tools to compare discs between brands. You can search by flight numbers or disc dimensions and search over 175 retailers to see who has the disc in stock now. TryDiscs even gives you promo codes to use on your next purchase to save you up to 20% at multiple different disc golf retailers. Next time you're looking for a disc, check out TryDiscs.com. That's discs with an S. Welcome back to the Upshot. Josh, I gotta be honest with you. I'm like ready to shave off a lot of this playoff beard action. You too?
Oh yeah, mine's so long. I mean, I brushed it even before I get on the show, and it's just so long at this point.
It's
my wife is more excited than I am, though.
I can't get to where you are. Like, I have to like trim it a little bit because otherwise I look like a homeless person a little bit. So it just gets a little too scraggly. But I'm ready for like a nice shave. But here we go. Final actual playoffs. This is the actual playoffs. And the Pro Tour Championship begins today. The play-in is happening right now. The players in the play-in: Henna Blumroos, Alexis Mondahano, Haley King, Jessica Weiss, Macy Vela-Diaz, and Jen Allen. They're playing for 2 spots. Top 2 scores move on to the tournament. Over in MPO, it's Andrew Presnell, Jeremy Colling, Albert Tam, Chandler Kramer, Thomas Gilbert, and Jake Hebenheimer. Now, notably, don't quote me because maybe things have changed. I feel like I should double check. The only qualified player not attending is Eagle, and technically Nico, but Nico doesn't have a choice.
That seems correct. I checked on UDisc.
Yeah,
and
any
I was looking. No updates to those brackets that we just read. So we pulled the brackets from Twitter on the Disc Golf Pro Tour Twitter. It's the most recent place I could find them. But based on those brackets, UDisc still has the same list of people.
There you go. So that's notable because most years we see some players skipping this tournament, and it is valuable enough to show up now that everybody's showing up. It's a big deal, and it should be. It's, if nothing else, it's a real honor to get into this event and like earn the bonus of being here. Even if you bounce out in the first round, you're taking home at least $2,500.
Right. Let's run down pay structure real fast. Over in MPO, round 1, not play-in. You do not get paid for the play-in tournament. You have to at least make it to the actual tournament itself, tournament proper.
Yep.
Round 1, MPO, $2,500. Round 2...
16 players in that round.
2 is $3,500. Round 3 is $5,500. Fourth place finish. So this is for the finalists. Fourth place, $9,000. Third place, $14,000. Second place, $20,000. And your winner is $35,000. As in previous years, taking third or second can mean the difference of $6,000. So that can actually, the race for the final couple of spots can still be relevant even if first place is pulled away.
Absolutely.
Over in FPO, I think Sarah Hokum last year missed. I think the announcers called it, or was it Heather Young? Heather Young like double putted and ended up losing like $5,000 because she missed a putt. So over in FPO, quarters gets $3,000, semis $5,000, and then the fourth through first structure is the same as the MPO side. So the women have one less round than the men do, just given the number of players that are entered into the tournament.
Yeah, and keep in mind, here's how it works. You have each round. The first round for the men is 16 players. The first round for the women is 12 players. Top 4 scores move on. Simple as that. And here's the reason why how you do during the season matters. The tiebreaker is tour points. So higher seeded players have a real advantage because they can just tie people beneath them and they will move on.
Yep.
And that's how the whole tournament works. Top 4 scores move on. Top 4 scores move on. Reset the scores each day. It's very different from any other tournament during the season. Survive and advance. And you got to get through the gauntlet. If you're in round 1 of MPO, you got to beat out 12 other players, and then you got to beat out 8 other players in the second round, and then you got to beat 8 other players in the third round. And of course, the competition gets increasingly difficult as you get towards semis, with the top 8 players getting a bye to the semifinals. Now that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much more to know about it. The resetting the scores obviously makes every round compelling in its own right. There's no way a player can get a big lead and make it boring. That's not possible. So, you go into the final round, everyone's tied. You're almost guaranteed to have some exciting golf. And that's what we've seen in years past. And remember, our defending champs, Nathan Queen and Missy Gannon. Nathan Queen won this thing a year ago. Amazing. And I think the nature of this format, Josh, enables that kind of thing to happen.
Nathan Queen notably missing the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship this year. Will not be back to defend his title. Yeah,
it's too bad, but he was hurt for too much of the season. Never really had a chance.
Yeah, he was. So here's the interesting question for you, Charlie. So far, of our winners, past 4 years, I didn't go back further than 4, but you have Dickerson, Jones, Nathan Queen over on the MPO side.
Okay.
Kevin Jones had the bye to semifinals. The other 3 wins came from round 1. They played all the way through the tournament and ended up winning it. Second interesting fact, no points leader from the season has ever made it through to the final round.
Wow.
So the first seed has always been knocked out in semis, at least for the past, I know at least for those 4 years. I don't remember going back further than that, but for those years that we're looking at, points leader has never made it across. They've always been knocked out in round 1. So there's oftentimes talk about the disadvantage of not getting to play earlier rounds. And, we've talked about the difference between this event and like FedEx Cup playoffs, where you're just granted strokes and then it's a typical stroke play event. Do you think it's a problem that top seeds are like, do you think the top seeds have the kind of advantage that the buys to semifinals are meant to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea that you should be able to play an earlier round to like get into the groove or whatever, that's very overstated. I mean, they could just go play a practice round. Treat it like a regular round. I find that to be a little bit of a flimsy reason that they're at a disadvantage. Like personally, I would rather make sure that I'm going to win $5,500 and only have to win 1 round in order to get into the final, as opposed to like being like, oh, I'm going to get into the groove from round 1. I mean, maybe there's something to that. I'm not sure that I buy it. I think the bigger problem is something that you brought up earlier, which is that there's a lot of days of this event where the most famous players and the players that people want to come and watch are simply not on the course and not competing. And that is a negative that, perhaps you're just okay with it. It does give more spotlight to players who are a little lesser known. But on the other hand, it sort of removes some of the intrigue from the event. And I've seen people say, I know you don't want to just copy the FedEx Cup, but you should just copy the FedEx Cup. Maybe there's something to that, because obviously that gets everybody in the field.
So I have a friend of mine reached out to me with a proposal that he felt like could kind of do a hybrid of both.
Okay.
And I was very intrigued by it. So I want to give a shout out to Kyler, and I want to run this idea. So his idea, any player who has a bye has the option to opt in to the round before them. So you're Ricky, you've buyed to semis. You have the option to opt in and play the quarterfinals round. That adds 1 spot. So now there are 5 spots up for play to get into semis, right? He vacates his spot. If Ricky makes the cut, he gets spotted however many strokes he won above the cut line. So let's say he beats the cut by 4 strokes and moves on to back to semis. He gets to start 4 under par, whereas the other 7 guys and those who had to play in order to get to semis chose not to play. You know, so those who didn't play and then those who had to make it in don't get any, and they start at 0. So Ricky gets to start now with a 4-stroke lead, but you risk getting cut
not making that round
by pulling yourself into an earlier round. Exactly. Do you think players would take that?
I don't know. I honestly
either.
don't know. I want to say that they wouldn't, but that's a really big advantage, especially if you're somebody who's like, you know, if you get $2,000 versus $5,000, like you don't care that much. Now that's not every pro, but the guys who are up at the top are the best players. They have the biggest contracts, right? The prize money of first round, second round is probably less relevant to them. So they might want to have that potential advantage of going into, you know, getting to the finals where, you know, if everybody wants to win $35,000, you know, I don't want to hear, like, I don't even care. Macbeth wants to win $35,000, and maybe it's more about the win for him than it is about the money, but like, that's still a meaningful amount of money. You can put that into your charity or whatever. That is very interesting.
Isn't that fascinating?
I find that fascinating because I truly don't know what players would do. I think I'm trying to think, like, what would I do in that situation, assuming that I had the skills that they have. But it's so risky.
It is
to say, I feel like I can go beat 16, you know, beat out 12 other players who are really, really good at disc golf.
But in an 18-hole
but if you want to bet on yourself, you obviously get this big bonus.
Right.
I'm
here's
intrigued.
the other thing. Yeah, the competition there. Because here's the other thing: the 16 players you're playing, or however many, they are not as good as the 8 who are in semis, right?
Sure.
That's the logic we're going with.
We can agree on that.
So, or the 12 in semis, right? So, because you have the 4 from qualify from quarters. So, if that's the case, do you think that you have better odds to beat out the Kyle Klein to Aaron Gossage mix, and would prefer to take the strokes into the harder semifinals?
Yeah, no, I
where
get it.
only 4 people, right? It's
100%.
fascinating to me. I love the idea.
You know, like I could see, you know, in FPO, is Chris and Tatar like, yeah, I'm going to own this course. Like I got this on lock, and you know, you get that bonus. But then, you know, what I like is that the finals would still be like from neutral, which
complete reset.
There is something
it's
nice
just
about
to get you
that
into
particular thing of this tournament, is that you get to finals and it's like anything can happen.
Yep.
And I think that's fun. It makes for an exciting round where, you know, you don't really ever get that. It's very, very rare to have even 3 people tied at the top of a tournament going into the final round. So it's interesting. It's certainly interesting. This is, you know, this is happening at Nevin Park, course in Charlotte. Kind of came together relatively last minute, but Charlotte Disc Golf Club has been working hard to get the course ready to go, and a lot of the pros are not super familiar with the course, same as us. You know, it's not been a tour stop for many, many years, and you're hearing pros say it's really hard. Simon said in the press conference yesterday, the worst thing you can do on this course is throw almost perfect, because if you throw almost perfect, you're going to get a brutal kick and you're going to be in a terrible spot. You're better off missing by a lot and squaring up a tree as opposed to taking a nasty, you know, little spin kick off into the woods. It sounds like it's going to be challenging. I mean, Simon suggested that a Northwood Black type score is what to expect for a good round. And we've heard some players talk about it as being a little bit intimidating, really challenging. I'm concerned about this course not being very spectatable, to be perfectly honest. It's sort of interesting to me, Josh. You know, the Pro Tour is on these big open courses all season where you can see and you can spectate, and you have all of this like land, and we have, you know, the golf courses, and we have all of these layouts where there's lots of good spectator sight lines, which makes sense. That's what that's what they're trying to do. They want to have good cell service and they want to have good spectating angles. And then we get to the Tour Championship and it's like, let's put it in the densest woods we can find. We're going to put it in the deep forest. And like, I appreciate the challenge of this course, but I do think it's a sort of an odd decision relative to the kind of competition, like kind of spectacle they're trying to create with this tournament.
Agreed. It is a little bit odd, and I never thought about it quite that way. I think the additional thing that's odd is think about like the Super Bowl. Think about, and I know I'm making the fatal flaw of comparing it to team sports, right? But think about the spectacle that are sports championships in other team sports, and the kind of tailgating, partying atmosphere, the events, the excitement, the energy. I mean, why is the Pro Tour not doing that? Why are they not at a place where, think about OTB, for example, right? They talk about the party island or whatever. I don't remember what they called it exactly. But the screens and the cocktail lounge and the drinks and the vendors and the booths. And why is the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship not that? Where if you get a bye to semis, you get the guaranteed money, but you're contractually obligated to come to, a meet and greet on previous days.
Schmoozing it up.
Right. And think about the spectator passes you could sell that would pay back that money, right? Like you could increase the appearance fee money that is guaranteed to players and then cover it with spectator passes because people come because they want to be a part of this enormous spectacle that runs for 4 days. Number one, it's got to be separated from Winthrop more. Or from USDGC and Throw Pink. You've got to have a week break between that. But I agree. Put it on a course that I'm very excited about this course. And this is no disrespect to the course by any means, but put it somewhere like what they do with Arizona for the All-Star Championship and just make it a huge deal and a big spectator event with lots of amenities and vendors. And
in some ways it's a tough ask, because you want to have it on a course that's really challenging, that merits the championship.
True.
But you also want to try to make it a great spectator experience. Now, I haven't seen the score. Maybe it's better than I expect, but I mean, we're hearing from players that it's going to be difficult to spectate. And, it's a classic, forested urban disc golf course where the goal of the course design was not considering spectators at all. So who knows how much they've cleared out. I would be glad to be proven wrong here. But I think the other thing is that there's sort of the scheduling dictates a little bit of this. Like, where is the course that is great for spectating in that part of the country that's also really high quality to deliver great disc golf tournament? Well, maybe I have the answer. Maybe it's North Cove, which is going to be a Silver Series next year in North Carolina. Because then you're still in the general area. So I think it's pretty fascinating to see how this is all going to unfold and develop over time. And let's see what the crowds look like this weekend. Maybe that's going to be bonanza. But I do think it's an interesting thing. I hope it looks great on video, and it's going to be fun to watch some woods golf. We didn't get the true woods test much this season. This is like a true grinder woods course, like Delaware Disc Golf Challenge, right? Like,
yep.
I'm excited to watch them deal with a course that's very different than Winthrop.
Yep, agreed. It's and I think that the reason it's on a wooded course is because you need, if of the 16 players, 14 of them tie with the hot round, or the 14 tie for the second round. Nobody wants to see that many tie breaks by seeding alone. And courses like this can create scoring separation, and thanks to the punishing kicks. So that's the one advantage I think that comes with having this style of event at a course like this.
All right, let's go through our picks. We're going to kind of go rapid fire pick round by round, Josh. I'm taking Henna and Haley to get out of the play-in FPO. Who you taking?
I am going to take Henna and Macy Veladiaz.
Ooh, disrespecting Haley King in the woods. I think you're going to pay for that.
I might, but yeah, that's what we're going with.
Okay. Second round, the players in are Valerie Mondahano, Missy Gannon, Ella Hansen, Kat Murch, Natalie Ryan, Sarah Hokum, Evelina Salonen, Maria Oliva, Holland Hanley, and Emily Beach. Oh, boy. I'm going to go. Missy Gannon, Sarah Hokum, Henna Blomroos, and Evelina Salonen advance.
Okay. I am going to go Missy Gannon, Kat Murch, Henna, and Holland Hanley.
All right. Holland Hanley. What a great season she's been having. Awaiting them in the semifinals are Kristen Tatar, Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, and Owen Scoggins. So 4 through to the finals. Josh, I'll let you go first this time.
Okay. Missy Gannon, Kat Murch, Kristen Tatar, Owen Scoggins.
Oh, boy. I'm going Kristen, Owen, Katrina, and Evelina.
Okay. For finals, I'm going to give the win to Owen Scoggins.
Wow.
I'm going to give Kristen second, Missy third. I said Kat Murch going to semis. Yeah, Kat Murch 4.
Okay. I'm going... Alan 4th, Evelina 3rd, Owen 2nd, Kristen dub.
Okay. Here's my proposal for the point structure, Charlie.
Okay.
For all of our correct
I hope you wrote
picks,
this down because I didn't write it down.
I'm going to go back and listen to this episode and write it down. So if you picked correct play-in winners, worth 1 point apiece. Quarterfinals to semis are worth 2 points apiece.
That's a lot of
semis
points
to finals are worth 3.
Okay.
And then every correct pick, and then we'll do winners worth, I don't know, we've done 5, so we'll stick with 5, with a perfect pick being worth the 15, I think is what it is.
I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
It gives me a chance to catch back up.
It
I'll
does.
have to have an incredible
You're so
weekend.
far behind. You're like, how do I put so many points into this tournament?
That's right.
I'm going to just make up a format that is worth 50 times more than any other tournament this season. But I'm with it. It's the playoffs. Let's go.
That's right. All right. Over on
you're
MPO.
Up first in MPO play-in.
Okay. I am going to pick...
So hard.
This Albert Tom and Chandler Kramer.
Who are these guys down here, man? Which of these guys play good in the woods? I don't honestly know. I don't know. I'm going to take Presnell and Tom.
Slight mulligan from earlier. You said Tam, and I just know you're going to get emails about it.
But wait a minute. I'm not sure which is right.
Really? I've always heard Tom. Is it not Tom?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I've definitely said it both ways now during the same show. Someone will let me know.
Yeah.
I got to ask Albert himself.
That's what we need to do.
Okay.
All right.
Round 1, the players are awaiting the play-in winners. Adam Hammis, Drew Gibson, Bradley Williams, Alden Harris, Anthony Barella, Mason Ford, Double G, Vino Makala, Nicholas Antela, Greg Barsby, Brody Smith, Emerson Keith, Linus Carlson, and Andrew Marweed.
We've got to pick 4, right?
Yeah, you got to pick 4.
All right.
That's so hard.
Nicholas Antela.
Love it. He's on my list.
Andrew Marweed.
Yep.
Alden Harris and Brody Smith.
Brody. Interesting. Yep. Oh boy, this is crazy. I'm also going with Andrew Marweed and Nicholas Antela.
Okay.
I'm also going to take Linus Carlson.
Good pick.
And, oh, God. Adam Hammes.
I thought about it. It's a good pick. Okay. Quarterfinals.
I'll go first here.
Okay.
Kyle Klein, Corey Ellis, Kevin Jones, James Conrad, Chris Clemens, Ezra Aderhold, Isaac Robinson, and Aaron Gossage waiting for them there in that next round. Okay, I'm going James Conrad, Andrew Marweed, Nicholas Antila, and Isaac Robinson.
Okay. I'm going to go...
This is such a chaotic tournament.
Yeah, it is. Nicholas Antila, Isaac Robinson, Chris Clemens, and Kyle Klein.
Nice. I like it. We're disrespecting Kevin Jones, which...
As we
he's
should.
going to make us pay. It has not been his finest season.
No.
Semis awaiting them: Ricky, Paul, Calvin, Gannon, Chris Dickerson, Simon, Joel Freeman, and Matty O. Am I first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. God. Joel Freeman, Nicholas Antila, Paul Macbeth, and Chris Dickerson.
Paul Macbeth, Gannon Burr, Kyle Klein, and Nicholas Antila.
Ooh, Kyle Klein.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fading Gannon Burr this weekend. He's not gonna his head's not gonna be fully in this one. Just my thought.
That's fair.
Okay, so to the finals we go. Josh, you're first.
Okay. I'm going to give Paul Macbeth the win.
Wow.
Nicholas the 2. Klein the 3. Gannon the 4.
All right, I'll start from 4 and go up. I'm going Joel Freeman 4. Paul Macbeth 3. Chris Dickerson 2. Nicholas Antila dub. The bounce back,
right,
baby.
The bounce back. Okay, there it is. We'll go back and listen to these and I'll fill in some brackets.
His line hitting, his gap hitting
good.
At USDGC was impeccable, and he has played so well lately. We're both high on him. We both have him reaching the final. I think this course is going to be unforgiving, and all it takes is 1 or 2 bad holes, and you're done. But I think he's got a good chance of going far this weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
It all goes down over the next few days. So thanks so much for tuning in. We'll break it down next week, and we'll be back with you on Sunday with our Rapid React show for all of our subscribers. So go over to discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. Tune in live in our Discord. We'll have the chat up there, and we'll break it all down. And looking forward to talking with you next week about the tournament. And hey, it's going to be the off season. What? The off season is almost here. But one last tournament to go, $35,000 to the winners. Looking forward to seeing how it all shakes out. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we'll talk to you next week right here on The Upshot.